You know, when people are talking to you about eating healthy, what is the first thing they tell you? You've got to get enough vegetables. Anybody else? Protein. Well, we're going to talk about some animals today. Lucas, what kind of animal is that? A gorilla. Have you ever gone to the zoo and seen an alpha male gorilla? What does he act like?
Macho.
Is he shy and off in the corner? Robert, show us what a macho alpha male gorilla does. Now, he doesn't stay in the corner. He stands up and he says, "Look at me." Do you want to mess with him? Probably not. Who have I got here? A moose. This is a bull moose. You know, they say that there are more people killed by a bull moose in rut than by any other mammal. Bears, you know, things like that. You know what a bull moose in rut is? He's looking for a girlfriend, or he's keeping track of one he's already got and making sure that she's not getting taken away. They feel very seriously about their women. What about this? It's a bull, isn't it? You know, there was an old farmer in Texas, and he was out working one day doing his chores, and a car drove up, and this young guy got out. He said, "Hi, I work for the DEA. Do you know what the DEA is? Drug Enforcement Administration." And he said, "I'm here to inspect your property." And the farmer said, "Well, that's fine, but you know, that field over there you really don't want to go into." And so he whipped out his badge and he said, "Look, I work for the federal government. I have the badge to prove it, and this badge allows me to go anywhere I want, no questions asked." And the farmer said, "Oh, well, I'm sorry. You go right ahead." And he went on into the barn and went about doing his chores. A few minutes later, he heard this huge ruckus outside, yelling and carrying on, and he looked out to see the DEA agent, who could go anywhere he wanted and his badge would let him, running for his life, being chased by the farmer's bull. And the farmer thought, "Well, I've got to help him." He ran over to the fence and he yelled as loud as he could, "Show him your badge!" Now, it takes more than that to deal with something like that if it's chasing you, isn't it? I wonder if you can tell me what all three of these animals have in common. They're all big, they're strong. We don't want to mess with them, do we? What do you suppose they eat? They eat grass, don't they? All three of them. And yet they're some of the strongest animals or anything that God ever created, aren't they? You know, there was... Andrew, Sabella, how old are you guys?
I'm 13.
13, okay. That went fast. 10? 11. Okay, well, this girl that wrote this article was in between. She was 12. And she wanted to take a look at how what we eat and drink and how we do it affects our earth. And so she put together some information. Guess I better put my glasses on. And she found that there is, in taking care of our planet, there's one category of food that has more impact on greenhouse gases. Now, you know, we hear them discuss the greenhouse effect of automobile fumes and things like that, but there's one category of food that affects our planet more than all of the trains and buses and cars, anything else in this earth. Do you know what that is? Help them out. It's raising food or eating food that's made from animals, particularly beef. It's a huge impact on our planet. Well, how do you suppose that is? Because, what goes in their mouths eventually comes out the other end and causes fumes. Have anybody ever driven headed toward Hanford, just north of Hanford on I-5? Do you pass that big spot with doesn't smell very good either, does it? The other thing about eating animal products, particularly beef, is that it takes a huge amount of water. Now, do we have lots of water in California? We're in a drought state, aren't we? So do we want to be doing things that use large amounts of water if we could avoid it? Surely not. But did you know that it takes more than 2,000 gallons of water to raise 1 pound of beef in California? 2,000 gallons. And at the same time, this is the same amount of water if you took a 7-minute shower every day for 6 months. That's how much water that is for only 1 pound. Now, do you think that bull weighs only 1 pound? I don't think so. So you can imagine the huge amount of water that it takes to produce a pound of beef. And most of that is used because you have to raise the feed for that animal. But it only takes 25 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of wheat. People can eat wheat. Do we have hungry people in our world? We surely do, don't we? Doesn't it seem like it would be a better idea to raise the wheat to feed people? When you get that Big Mac, it says this little girl that was 12 years old, she found that 40% of the fresh water in the U.S. went to irrigate feed crops for livestock. Only 13% was used for such things as laundry and showering and brushing your teeth. So there are a lot of these things. Now, another way that eating your Big Mac affects our world is that they are taking down the rainforests in the Amazon Valley. Now, that seems like a long ways away for you, but have you studied what trees do? Tell me, Andrew. They clean the air, don't they? Because they take in the carbon dioxide that we breathe out, and they turn it into oxygen for us to breathe. So what do you suppose happens when we start cutting down the rainforests in the Amazon? Those are the lungs of our planet. That doesn't seem very smart either, does it? Every time you eat a Big Mac, they estimate that 55 square feet of rainforest was destroyed in order for that Big Mac to be produced. Now, how many Big Macs are eaten in the United States every day? I could talk a little bit about what happens when you eat plant food instead of animal food. There are many athletes, and they excel at their sport, and they only eat plant food. Genesis 1:26, Jesus said, "Let us make mankind in our image and in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move on the ground." God gave us this world to take care of and everything in it, didn't he? Then God said, "I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it, and they will be yours for food." Did God make mistakes when he created our world? He had a perfect system, didn't he? And to all the beasts of the earth and all the birds in the sky and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food, and it was so. God didn't make mistakes. If you want to get plenty of protein, you don't need to eat animals or anything that was alive or had eyes or a liver or a mother to do that. You just eat lots of good food that God created for us. Okay? Keep that in mind when you're making choices. And if those bulls and moose can do it, so can you. Come get your bag.